good. So let's just take a quick look, recap about the H Plus wheels. So you got quite a shallow rim, first of all. Obviously full aluminium box section rim, obviously double walled. They're about 25mm wide on the outside, and interior width I think is about 18mm, it might be 19. These are laced with sapphire spokes on Vertex hubs, so the Taiwanese Vertex hubs, which so many wheel builders use. Really reliable hub. The front one is not my favourite Vertex hub. This is the sort of ultra lightweight one with the smaller diameter bearing, and the hub flanges a little bit narrower than the other Vertex one, which seems to be quite common. I don't know the name, I can't remember, but the other one is like 20 grams heavier, but it's got wider flanges and uses a slightly bigger bearing on each side. So, you know, it's got a bit higher load rating, that wheel, and because of the wider flanges you get a tiny bit of a stiffer front wheel. And I have noticed with this front wheel it is a little bit flexy when you're cranking out the saddle. You know, climbing out the saddle or something, you look down, you can see the wheel flexing a little bit between the brake blocks, and you might have to run the brake blocks a little bit wider than you normally would on a really stiff front wheel. But I like running my brakes quite far away from the wheel anyway, because, you know, if your lever's biting really close on the pull like that, without much pull, sorry, you're not getting a proper leverage ratio as they're designed with the lever and the caliper. So if the lever's not coming a fair way back, your brakes aren't going to be as powerful as they're designed to be because of the pull ratio. Anyway, that's digressing from the point. So you might notice that the front one has still actually got its kind of black anodized coating on there. It's wearing through a little bit, but as I said, these are about 5,000 Ks. I was using them in the dry in Spain quite a lot, and obviously in the dry, when your brake pads don't pick up much grip, they're going to stay pretty smooth and pretty black, because don't forget, all the anodized coating is very hard, so it's quite hard wearing. But as soon as you get, you know, a wet ride, they do start to wear. And now I've got these wheels on my bike in Hong Kong, basically because I want to keep my nice carbon wheels at home, because the roads here are pretty bad. There's lots of potholes, there's quite a lot of gravel about, and these are a bit more of a foolhardy wheel set, let's say. So the carbon wheels that come on the TCR are at home. But this is still a really light wheel set. This is 1,500 grams pretty much on the dot for this wheel set without the skewers. I've got some sort of the standard Taiwanese titanium skewers in there, which are really, really light. Obviously I wouldn't trust them as much as a steel skewer, but as long as you don't do them up too tight, they're not going to fail on you. So yeah, I've got Continental 25s on this, measure more like a 27. This Conti is flat on the top. That's testament to the Hong Kong roads. They're very, very abrasive. So they do build quite a stiff wheel with these hubs. See, the drive side hub, the drive side flange is very close to the cassette, which makes, you know, you've got a really good bracing angle for the drive side spoke. It's not, you know, it's obviously still asymmetric. You've got a much, you know, better angle on the radial side, on the non-drive side. But, you know, it's on even some Mavic wheel sets, you see the drive side flange being closer towards the center, and you're not going to get the best triangulation like that. But yeah, apart from that, the braking's really good on them. They're light. They're not very aero because they're quite shallow, but they give the tire profile nicely. You know, there's no light bulb effect going on there, so they do have some aero credentials, I suppose. You know, if you're going to take a cross section through that, it is a teardrop, but it's a backwards teardrop, so it's going the wrong way. On the rear wheel, you know, you've got this kind of profile is pretty negligent around this section, because as you've got the wind coming from here, this is all turbulent. So it doesn't really matter what nice aerofoil shape you've got going on with the rear wheel here. You kind of need a better profile here, and this is a reverse teardrop, so it's okay if you got 0 yaw, but any sort of apparent wind that way or that way, it's not a great shape for drag. Again with the front wheel. Okay, now you've got at this end the proper teardrop aerofoil shape, which isn't bad, but then reverse teardrop there, which isn't very good. Which is now why you're seeing wheels with a wider U shape here. Anyway, let's not talk about aero because these aren't aero wheels. One problem I'm getting with these wheels, which is probably going to be the reason why I swap them out quite soon, is the rear wheel just doesn't stay in true. I mean, it's minor. It's within 1 mil after I've tweaked it up and ridden it. If I tweak it up so I get the dish right and the spoke tension pretty equal going round, I mean just plucking it and doing it by ear, it stays in true for probably about 100k. And I say in true, it might go out by less than 1 millimeter, but I like to have my wheels true all the time because I true them up myself, and I notice if they're out true. Now, I thought, well, you know, if you true a wheel but you haven't got the spoke tensions correct, then they can go out of true, but the spoke tensions seem fairly equal all the way around, but the wheel still kicks out of true a little bit, and it's just getting tiring, keep truing it up, to be honest. So, I mean, a lot of a wheel's quality is in the tolerances and the machining. So, equal spoke tension is kind of a function of how accurately and consistently aligned the spoke nipple beds are drilled in the rim. So, if you've got, you take, say, that this center ridge of the rim. If you've got one hole drilled here and the next one on the same side, the hole is drilled slightly to the left. For the same kind of holding force or lacing force, or you know, how can I say, you're going to have a different spoke tension if these holes aren't drilled accurately. So you need to have all your drive side holes drilled in the same location, that way, axially if you like, and all the non-drive side holes drilled in the same location axially. And if they're not, that's going to give rise to different spoke tensions when you get the wheel true. And a true wheel with different spoke tension doesn't stay in true. So with really expensive aluminium wheels, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the machining tolerances. And it's not just, you know, the apparent location, because you see here, don't forget these are double walled, so it's where the spoke nipple actually ends up resting in there when it's you know, tightened up. So yeah, that's just one minor thing. Again, you know, when it does kick out of true, it's very marginal, but I can feel a slight vibration coming through the rear. The rear of the frame when I pull the brake on ever so slightly. If I just feather the brakes when they're out of true, it goes rise to a slight buzz through the frame. And that's even with, you know, the brake blocks actually towed in. And that's, you know, obviously really important, is to tow in the brake blocks. So that's where you get the best performance. You want the front of the pad to engage before the rear of the pad when you pull the brakes on. But yeah, apart from that, they're a solid wheel. I mean, I've not had any problems with the front. The front's never gone out of true. The bearings are pretty good in them still. I think they're standard 6802 bearings in the back. Obviously 4 sealed cartridge bearings. The free hub is noisy, but I've not had any problems with it. I've quietened the free hub down a bit by putting some grease in there. But obviously, if you put too much grease in there, you risk the chance of the pulls sticking. But yeah, apart from that, I think they're great wheels for the money. I actually picked these up for like 300 quid, fully built. So yeah, great, reliable wheels really. That'd be all.